Hello everyone. In today's video, we'll dive deep into the Great Flood, an event that holds a significant place in world mythologies and religions, leaving a profound impact on ancient cultures. Many of us have heard this story, perhaps even as children, but the reality is that this event is far more complex and captivating than it first appears. So, when we talk about the Great Flood, what comes to mind first? Most people immediately think of Noah's Ark. The story we know goes something like this: humanity had completely lost its way. Corruption and immorality were rampant. God commands Noah to build a great ark and save a pair of every species. Once the ark is built, rains begin, lasting for 40 days and 40 nights. The earth is submerged, the wicked perish, and Noah's ark finally comes to rest near Mount Ararat. Noah and his family then begin to repopulate the earth. This is, of course, a striking and powerful tale, but over thousands of years, it has become more of a legend. The real question is, did such a flood actually happen? If so, how did it shape the course of human history? Now, let's follow the trail of this myth and examine the Great Flood from historical, scientific, and religious perspectives. Interestingly, contrary to popular belief, the Great Flood wasn't limited to Mesopotamia. Many other civilizations have their own versions of this story, and the core elements of the tale remain surprisingly similar across cultures. This is where things start to get really intriguing. Let's take a world tour and explore these flood narratives. The Chinese flood myth. In Chinese mythology, the god of water, Gong, creates a flood in response to humanity's corrupt behavior. Torrents of rain fall from the skies and water gushes from the earth. The land is submerged, and survivors flee to the mountains. Fascinatingly, this flood is said to have lasted 22 years. In another version, the goddess Nuwa defeats a corrupt chieftain, causing a flood. However, Nuwa and her army managed to survive thanks to sacred fish, the flood in Hindu mythology. In India, there's another flood story involving the god Vishnu in the form of a fish. The hero, Manu, encounters Vishnu in a river, and after helping the god, he is warned about the impending flood. Vishnu instructs Manu to build a boat. When the flood arrives, all life is destroyed, but Manu and the creatures on the boat survive. Manu then goes on to rebuild the world with the survivors. The Aboriginal flood legend. In Aboriginal culture, their flood legend is quite unique. A giant frog swallows all the water on Earth, causing a great drought. The animals try to make the frog laugh, and when an eel finally succeeds, the frog bursts out laughing and releases all the water, flooding the land. Many die. But those who reach the high mountains survive. The Greek and European flood myth. Most of Europe's flood stories draw inspiration from ancient Greece. According to Greek mythology, 3 major floods occurred throughout history. One of these is the Deucalion flood, which closely mirrors the story of Noah's Ark. Zeus, displeased with humanity, decides to destroy it. However, the Titan Prometheus warns Deucalion to build a boat. When the flood arrives, Deucalion and his family seek refuge in the mountains, surviving the disaster. In Greek myths, this flood lasts 9 days, and Deucalion repopulates the earth. The Mayan flood narrative. The Mayans also have their version of the flood story. According to them, the world has been destroyed by floods twice before. In the first flood, a race of dwarfs was wiped out. In the second, it was a race of sinners. Finally, in the third flood, 3 individuals managed to survive in a canoe, leading to the rebirth of humanity. This event is marked by the Mayan calendar, beginning in 3143 BCE. The Sumerian flood myth. Sumerians perhaps have the oldest written account of the flood. According to their legends, celestial beings known as the Anunnaki created humans to serve their purposes. However, as humans became corrupt, the Anunnaki foresaw a great disaster. They decided not to save humanity. But Enki, one of the Anunnaki who was involved in creating humans, defied this decision and advised a man named Atrahasis to build a boat. Atrahasis and his family survived the flood. Interestingly, the story suggests that after the flood, the Anunnaki left the earth. Scientific explanations. So, what could all these stories be pointing to? According to modern science, the earth emerged from an ice age approximately 13,000 years ago. During this period, global temperatures began to normalize, but around 15,000 years ago, there was a sudden warming event known as the Holocene climatic optimum. This rapid increase in temperatures caused the massive glaciers from the Ice Age to melt, triggering widespread floods around the world. These great flood stories could be rooted in this global climate change and the massive deluge it caused. In conclusion, flood myths from around the world may indeed be reflections of real events. But these events, far from being confined to a single region, were likely global cataclysms that left deep scars on humanity, passed down through generations in the form of myths. These aren't just stories of Noah's Ark, but echo worldwide disasters that shape civilizations. Understanding the truth behind the Great Flood and uncovering the scientific and historical facts behind this myth show us just how fragile and resilient humanity is. I hope this video has given you a new perspective on this subject. Take care, and see you in the next video.